நிறைய புக்ஸ் வச்சிருக்கு. Sundar.
Hi all. I think I am not able to hear Sundar.
Hello, welcome you all.
Hi.
Hari sir, namaskaram.
Good evening to everybody.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We will just start in a couple of minutes. I'm just adding few members who are joining the conference.
Bad, we're 23.
Gayatri ma'am, can you unmute yourself?
Yes.
You are there. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Chala sir, can we start?
Yes, sir, please go ahead. President has come.
Yeah.
President sir has not yet come.
So,
Shall we wait? Just check up with him. Sundar, Vararna, we can wait for 5 minutes, maybe 2 or 3 minutes if it's just switching on the system.
I just called.
In case it's going to get delayed, then we can start.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. I think all of us are
good evening.
really fresh after the afternoon sleep.
Yeah. We'll go ahead. I welcome you all to this second lecture series of Chennai Citizens Forum. Today's topic is on staying alive from Indian perspective. We have Dr. D.K. Hari and Hema Hari ma'am here to discuss on the same issues. I request our Vice President, Dr. R. Gayatri, to formally introduce the speakers before we hand over the proceedings to them.
Hi, good evening to all. I'm happy to introduce Dr. D.K. Hari and Dr. D.K. Hema. They are the founders of Bharat Jnaan. They are compiling the traditions, culture through their civilizational study, and they have connected it to over the millions of people throughout the world. They are having 20 years of professional experience in management and IT. In 2000, they have taken civilizational study as a research and compiled 108 different subjects spanning a wide spectrum of focus 8,000 years ago to the present. They have published 31 books, 500 articles, 5 documentary film, 200 short films, 50 mini books, and 300 lectures in India and overseas. The Hari couple were honored with honoris causa doctorate by Sri Sri University for their work. We are happy to welcome you, sir and ma'am, to our forum. We are eagerly waiting to hear your lecture. We are welcoming you once again. Thank you.
Hari sir, namaste. Once again, thank you very much for accepting our invite. I request you to kindly deliver your lecture.
Sir, and thank you, Dr. Gayatri, for introducing us so nicely. And எல்லாருக்கும் இனிய புத்தாண்டு நல்வாழ்த்துக்கள்.
sir.
எல்லாருக்கும். It's a very auspicious occasion, even amidst this lockdown. So the next, the concept of staying alive, what it is. When this epidemic hit the world and also India, we're thinking as to, since we're working in this field of the civilization knowledge and knowledge of India, we wanted to find out what is it that India has been doing right across centuries and millennia, across the land, in being able to successfully stay alive through such hurdles. These are hurdles. And as a civilization, we're going to face this hurdle and many more hurdles, both in the past and the future. And how are we as a land, as a people, as a community, handle these hurdles, face these hurdles and overcome them? Let's see those. For example, we have an epidemic today. Because it is pan-global, it's called pandemic. That's a word, coined word, but actual word is epidemic. And there are 3 factors to it. One is to prevent it from happening. 2, when it actually hits us, how to contain it. and third is to cure it. So it's a three-pronged approach basically we're looking at. And
yeah, so if you really look at it, what is the essence of staying alive? There are two aspects that have to be balanced. One is, on one side, you have to prevent it from coming. And if the crisis does hit you, then அதை எப்படி நம்ம மேனேஜ் பண்ண போறோம். ஸோ கிரைசிஸ்னே நம்ம எடுத்துனோம்னாக்க நம்மளுக்கு வந்து டிஃப்ரெண்ட் ஃபார்ம்ஸ் ஆஃப் த்ரெட்ஸ் இருக்கு. சிலது வந்து மேன்மேட், சிலது வந்து நேச்சுரல். மேன்மேட்ல நமக்கு இப்போ நடக்கிற மாதிரி ஹெல்த் கிரைசிஸ் இருக்கு, சில சமயம் வார்ஸ் இருக்கு, சில சமயம் இன்டர்னல் ஸ்ட்ரைஃப் ப்ரொட்டஸ்ட் இருக்கும், சில சமயம் ஈகனாமிக்கல் கிரைசிஸா இருக்கும், பொல்யூஷனல் கிரைசிஸா இருக்கும். நேச்சுரல்ல தான் நமக்கு தெரியும் ஃப்ளட்ஸ் அண்ட் ட்ராட், சீசனல் கிரைசிஸ் வந்துட்டே இருக்கு, earthquakes, volcanoes, illata sometimes even from the skies, meteor showers மாதிரி. இந்த ரெண்டு கைண்ட்ஸ் ஆஃப் த்ரெட்ஸ் நம்ம பார்த்தோம்னாக்க இதை சர்மவுண்ட் பண்றதுக்கு ரெண்டு ஃபண்டமெண்டல் அப்ரோச்சஸ், philosophical approaches if you will. இப்போ man-made crisisனாக்க typically it is better if you try to insulate yourself from the trouble that is around you. So isolation through insulating yourself through isolation is one of the most typical response. And natural disaster naka நம்ம இருக்கிற இடத்துக்கே பாதிப்பு வந்துடுது. So அப்போ நம்ம இன்சுலேட் பண்ணி அதே இடத்துல இருக்க முடியாது. So we have to look for moving out of that place. So அப்போ வந்து you need an insurance that you can integrate and move with others. You need to have that insurance that you can fall back on other people so that you can move away from there. You will find help from outside. So insulation you have to find help from within, and in case of having to move out, you need help from outside. So இது ரெண்டுமே நமக்கு ஒரு பேலன்ஸ் வேண்டிருக்கு. So insulation, isolation வேணும், integration வேணும் with the world. So அதுக்கு நம்ம என்ன பண்றோம்னாக்க நம்ம இந்த மாதிரி lockdown is typically an insulation kind of an approach. So நமக்கு வந்து self sufficiency is one of the most important aspects. Discipline is very important. Leaders who can guide you through this, and your age old wisdom, because now your ability to interact with other people becomes less. So what is it that you can rely on about from your own wisdom? That becomes key. அதே integration போனோம்னா எப்பொழுதுமே நம்ம வந்து ஒரு open mind, tolerance, friendship, as well as you have to be powerful, because only if you are indispensable to the world will they want to come and help you out, bail you out. World, I mean others other than your own local body. So இந்த ரெண்டுத்தையுமே நம்ம பேலன்ஸ் பண்ணி எடுத்துன்னு போனோம். அண்ட் இதுதான் நம்ம வந்து மில்லேனியா ரொம்ப ஆதி காலத்துல இருந்து நம்ம இந்தியன் சிவிலைசேஷன்ல ரெண்டுத்தையுமே ரொம்ப அழகா பேலன்ஸ் பண்ணி எடுத்துன்னு போயிட்டு இருந்திருக்கோம்.
So when you look at this, she spoke about balance. Balance comes from a very two aspects. Only then you can balance two aspects, and it's basically twinning. And we have a special idea for it. It's called Ashwini twins. So they're twins. So they show you the balance approach, not only in Ayurveda. Of course, they're divinities for Ayurveda, but all aspects of life. So let's look at, and it's concept of sama, equal.
சமமா எடுத்துன்னு போறது. இது வந்து நம்ம அதனால இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு பேலன்ஸ், ஐடியா ஆஃப் பேலன்சிங். ஸோ நம்ம மனப்பான்மையே நம்ம சிவிலைசேஷன்ல ஒரு மனப்பான்மை என்னன்னாக்க பேலன்ஸ். நம்ம எப்பவுமே ஒரு எக்ஸ்ட்ரீம்க்கு போனதே இல்லை. எப்பவும் இந்த பக்கம் போவோம், அந்த பக்கமும் சாஞ்சு ரெண்டுக்குமே ஒரு சமமா ஒரு சமநிலையில நம்ம பார்த்திருக்கோம். அண்ட் ஃபண்டமெண்டலா இந்த அஸ்வினிங்கிற கடவுள் வந்து இந்த ட்வின்ஸ் வந்து நம்ம ஹெல்த்தோட நிறைய அசோசியேட் பண்ணிருக்கோம்.
The definition for Ashwini is very interesting. Ashwini twins is very interesting. Hita ahara, mita ayasa. Mita ahara, hita ayasa. Translated into English, it is affordable food, appropriate exercise. Affordable exercise, appropriate food. So it's a balance between your activity and your food intake and what you express. So it's a balance between diet and your lifestyle, balance between your rest and your work, balance between your nourishment and your treatment, balance between prevention and cure. So it's a nice balance. So this is only affordable. He's not asking you to extravagant exercises, nor is he asking you to have extravagant food. No fancy food, no fancy exercise. Daily regular activity and daily regular palatable food, vegetarian food gives you a nice balance in life. That's a beautiful balance he talks about. It's so simple and beautiful, very simple to any aspect of balance. Ayurveda takes the best balance. Let's look at what is this balance. There are two concepts in treatment. One is called Swastha Vrita and the other is called Atura Vrita. Swastha Vrita is Swastha, health. So preventive. So Ayurveda looks at almost 80% of the focus of the treatment of Ayurveda is all towards health care. where you have good health, maintaining good health. Whereas and only a smaller portion is towards curing of diseases. So if you're healthy and well as a man, as a family, as a community, as a civilization, it's more important as to treatment when a disease hits you. So preventive is more important here, and social medicine is more important, and treatment of diseases is of lesser importance. Whereas if you compare, in the case of modern medicine, allopathy, there's a lot less focus given on preventive medicine, preventive care. Whereas more importance given to after a disease hits you, what do you do for treatment? So the focus of two different schools of medicine are different. In this, the balances we must have both A plus B. So you need to have preventive medicine where you are all comfortably healthy, and when something hits you, you know how to go aggressively with modern allopathy. That's a balance of the two. And look at this particular medicine treatment of Swasthavrita. We had a nice concept in this Indian civilization through the ages. What you had is, you have very clearly had something called Charaka. Who is this person Charaka? It's not one single individual. Charaka means a person who walks, Chalna, Charati, one who walks from village to village, community to community, grama to grama, nagara to nagara, treating people, helping people in food habits, hygiene, well-being. So it's Charaka. So the Charakas were part of this ethos of this land, starting from Afghanistan in the northwest to Burma in the northeast to Kanyakumari and Sri Lanka in the south. We had Charakas traveling all over. So they were people who were keeping good health of the civilization as a whole. Look at this interesting painting of Charaka done by a Russian. It is there in the Varanasi, Banaras Hindu University, Bharat Kalachar Museum, by a famous painter called Rorik. Actually, the Roriks are 3 generations of painters, like how we have Rabindranath Tagore family of great painters. For Russians, equivalent was this. So he's painted Charaka beautifully for us. And look at the word. Roga is disease. Arogam, without roga is good health. So arogyam is freedom from disease. And English, we have a saying, health is wealth. But it's a lot more in the Indian thought. Arogyam, mahabhagyam. Bhagyam is fortune. So good health is a big fortune, not just wealth. It's a much bigger thought. And again, there's a balance in cure between poison and medicine. Shushruta says this beautifully. A poison is also medicine, and it's comparable. If a drug is not administered properly, it is dangerous. Even if a drug is converted to medicine, if it's properly prepared, and good medicine, poison, if improperly prepared or improperly administered. So there's a good balance. So Charaka and Shushruta both speak about a balance between poison and medicine. This is a fine thing, because you need antivenom, serum. In one treatment, it is medicine. One treatment, it is vaccine, it is medicine. So vaccination is also like that. So how you balance it is the beauty of all this. And look at this. We have in India, especially in Tamil Nadu, we have this very famous saying, Marunde unavu, unave marundu. Beautiful number, Tamil Vakyam. So medicine is food, as well as food is medicine. Sapara vidam, maintaining of good health, food hygiene and all this. This is what is called swasthya. So that is a rakshanam that saves you. And that is important. So that gives you in this moksham, in this very life, it gives you. So you need a cure, it gives you. So deliverance from any sort of vicious disease is good health, good food. Many of the diseases come from having improper food, incorrect food. So that is the balance of life. And look at this, in staying alive, very important aspect.
So ultimately, fundamental basis for the secret of staying alive nu paatha oru pakkam vandu preventing, இன்னொரு பக்கம் managing. So how do you prevent? You prevent crisis by aligning with nature and also by taking proactive steps. So you align on one side so that you don't cause disturbances, and you also be proactive. So in case it's going to come, you are ready. The other side vandachu, ipo enna panna porom? You have to be ready with the know-how to cure. So proficiency venum. At the same time, sufficiency venum. Ena sonna mari number, when you have to contain and when you have to insulate yourself, then you have to be sufficient within yourself to be able to handle and manage it. So proficiency, sufficiency rendu venum. And idu rendukku ena edukku nam paathirkonaka, we all know that effort and cost of managing far heavier than the cost of preventing it. But idu rendukku namakku enna vendirundhirukku? successful leadership is the key, and it's a bottom underlying thing for both these aspects. So கடைசில நம்மளுக்கு crisis தான் வந்துடுது. நம்ம இத்தனையெல்லாம் பண்ணி prevent பண்ணினாலும் crisis வந்து you can't தவிர்க்க முடியாது. So சில சமயம் நம்ம crisis face பண்ணியே ஆகணும்.
So you have this famous quote from the Roman film, Quo Vadis, where to from here? It's a very important aspect in life. So now we are facing a lockdown, and we have faced many lockdowns in our civilization like this, and for different times. Some of the lockdowns we faced this during wars. At different wars across centuries we faced, and we have had this epidemics many times in our civilization, and during protests also, which are more man-made. So you've got different types of lockdowns we have faced. One of the earliest lockdowns reported is in the times of Krishna, about 5,100 years back. During the Govardhanagiri episode, for 7 days, the whole Bridge Bhumi was under lockdown, all under one particular shelter. So the 7 days lockdown was already recorded in the Mahabharata period. You have had a famous lockdown of that. And in wars across times, siege, battle siege. So the lockdown happens not just for 15 days or 20 days or 30 days, it happens for 6 months, 1 year lockdown, where every area, citadel, fort, any place was self-sufficient, right from water harnessing, as we showed in this particular image, to all the crops, to everything. So that was, this was very much a part of Indian thought to be self-sufficient. Well-planned self-sufficiency was a part of Indian thought during all wars. That is how they prepared and went through it. It's happened thousands of times in India, nothing new. And we have also had lockdowns repeatedly during the freedom struggle of India through bandhs, starting with the first bandh that was requested for by the first nationwide bandh requested during the Rowlatt Act Satyagraha, and thereon many times have had this. So India has gone through these sort of bandhs and Satyagraha repeatedly for different period of time. And unfortunately, after independence, one particular state has had a lockdown due to certain problems created by ourselves because of separatist action, especially in the case of Kashmir, repeatedly. Fortunately, after 7 decades, we are successfully now coming out of it. So this sort of, there are many types of lockdowns we have had. And look at this very interesting lockdown that we're talking about here. In Arunachal Pradesh, the tribals, they have a system, especially when any disease hits them, they have such sort of lockdowns. They had this 40, 50 years back. They practiced it when they were still tribal, and they were looking at it from their native perspectives. Now they've lost a lot of their nativity in the so-called modernization, and people going and making them non-native. So they had these two particular rituals where they had lockdown, they had seclusion, they had this process. And so there's a beautiful film you can speak about it, please.
So this is just an example actually which has come to light for recent in the lockdown la namak theriya vandhu, where Arunachal Pradesh revived it after 40 years. But number needy parts of India la, they have been similar processes or similar steps taken, but unfortunately we have all forgotten that in the process of urbanization and modernization.
I will take an example. About a decade back, when I was talking to the Toda tribals during one of the program on TV, they said that any tribal who comes back from a village back to the Vana, their tribe is actually a wrong word to use. It's a very derogatory word to use. I prefer to use the word more respectful, honorific word called Vanavasi. They are living in the Vana, they live in the Vasi, so they are actually Vanavasi. Tribals is a negative word. So with the Vanavasi, they said when they go to a Grama or Nagara and come back to their Vana, it is mandated by their practice to live at the border of the Vana for 1 or 2 days in a secluded hut to ensure that they don't get the disease of the Grama into the Vana and share it with the Vanavasi. So the Vanam. So for them, Vana was a pure place, whereas the Grama Nagara was an impure place. So the diseases came from the Grama Nagara. So they're very clear. So they had to undergo quarantine of 1 or 2 days and then only come into the Vana. So look at the side, same idea, be it in the Arunachal Pradesh in the northeast or be it in the Toda tribals of the Nilgiris. Look at across the land, even the tribals had a very nice organized system of ensuring that they don't get infected unnecessarily by diseases that are imported into their ecosystem.
So நம்ம fundamentally இப்போ பார்த்தோம்னாக்கா so lockdownங்கிற situation வந்ததுன்னா it's again it comes back to a balance of self sufficiency versus interdependency. So any scope of a body, if you see, whatever be the level of that, be it a village or be it a city or be it a state or be it a nation, you have to be able to balance both. At times you should be able to be open enough to be interdependent with the rest of the community, and at times if needed you should be able to be self-sufficient enough to be able to go into a state of insulation. So adukku rendu vaartha svavritti manga parasparashray manga. So parasparam, interdependency, where the thing comes from knowledge sharing, technology sharing. See, fundamentally idula namakku enna theriya varuduna, when we look at other aspects which unfortunately we can't touch upon right now in this short limited time. If you look at the civilizations world over, itana millennia trade ellam paathonaka, the trade has initially was not on essentials. Community civilization, ancient civilizations have been self-sufficient for essentials. They have integrated with or interfaced with other civilizations mainly for sharing knowledge, technology, know-how, learnings, inspiration. These kind of soft things is what they have shared. Whereas for essentials, every civilization has been self-sufficient and has evolved its sufficiency based on avanga oda local தேசாச்சாரம், அந்தந்த நாடு அந்தந்த நாட்டோட நிலவரம், அந்த சூழ்நிலை, அதனோட அட்மாஸ்பியர், அதனோட கிளைமேட், அதனோட டொபாலஜி, அதெல்லாத்தையும் வச்சிருந்து அங்க விளைச்சல் என்ன மாதிரி பிளான்ட்ஸ் வருது, என்ன சாப்பாடு, இதெல்லாம் பேஸ் பண்ணி they were self-sufficient. So that is the balance that we have to also evolve as we mature into what we call as modern living.
And look at this interesting, this is a nice example she's got about what is it you do when you have a lockdown. A very beautiful example of a butterfly which comes from a pupa. It also undergoes a 20-30 day of a hibernation lockdown process where it prepares itself to soar once again when its lockdown period is complete. So each of these lockdown periods that we face this time or the past or the future, whenever it is, it's a time that we strive to build self-sufficiency in ourselves. So when we are free to again flap our wings, we do it with strength. That is what is important. So the substrata of this is self-sufficiency, strength. So that is what we need to build up, innate qualities, innate strengths that are skills available to us, so that when we are again able to flap and go fly free, we fly with that strength. And preparing oneself purposefully is what matters. So these lockdowns, which has happened now, unfortunately, may happen a few more times. We don't know for what purposes, but we know how to use it purposefully. That is the skill that we should have. That's what our earlier had. That's what nature has. Nature has such lockdowns. Our earlier generations have had it, but they've all used it successfully. And if you look at this, there are three perspectives. Such lockdowns, such difficult times, such calamities bring forth to us three sort of leaders. PMG is what we call P, G, and think. One P stands for Prajapati. Praja, people, Pati, leader, Prajapati. One who leads his people is a Prajapati, and the other is a Manu. It is from the Indian word Manu that you get the English word man and the word human, mankind, humane, women. All this comes from the word Manu, from the word Indian word Manushyam, Manushya. All these words comes up with one word. And we'll see what that, we'll expand that word. The root of it, we're not talking about the individual person or anything. We're talking about the root, how this word. And it's from this word, you got across the world, you got this Moses, Musa, Menes, all this you got from this. Okay, and the third word is Guru. Guru, the word Guru itself means one who uplifts, Gurutva. One who attracts with knowledge. So a guru is one who attracts you and uplifts you with dharma.
So actually, நம்ம பார்த்தோம்னாக்கா நம்ம புராணங்கள்ல all the stories you will find focus has been given to three kinds of leaders. So So sometimes you find the Prajapati is more important. Sometimes you find Manu is given more importance, and sometimes it's the Guru who is given more importance. Sometimes he is Brihaspati, sometimes he is Shukracharya, whether for the Deva or Asura. So these three are the three types of leaders that we encounter through and through our legends across different legendary events and figures. Ramar காலத்திலயும் சில பேர் இருந்திருக்காங்க, மகாபாரத காலத்திலயும் இத்தியாசம், இது ரெண்டு இத்தியாச periods, you'll find these different kinds of leaders. And like he was saying, there are various versions of the numbers of Prajapati, but like they say, idla oru Prajapati, you can understand the role of a Prajapati if you look at this Prajapati called Daksha. The Varta Daksha naliye, it means dexterous, comes from the same root.
English word dexterous,
So
dexterity.
skilled. So நமக்கு வந்து ஏதாவது ஒரு திறன், so ஒரு சிவிலைசேஷனை ஒரு குரூப் ஆஃப் பீப்புள வந்து ஒரு சிவிலைசேஷனா மாத்தி அவளுக்கு ஒரு லிவிங் ஸ்கில்ல கொடுத்து அவளை சேர்ந்தாப்புல ஒரு எடுத்துட்டு போறது வந்து is the role of a Prajapati. Whereas a Manu, if you see, always he is a person who has taken people across over a crisis.
So whole mankind, people. So Prajapati is one who leads his people, his area, whereas Manu is one who leads the whole mankind.
So he is responsible for bringing in order within that civilization, setting laws, and these are relevant for that crisis and that time period. So andanda situation ku thandapla ennala orders and law vadumo adella, that's what he brings in. He brings in the framework that will help people tide over that crisis, and that you can find such roles across civilizations.
And look at this very interesting one. You have the word Manvantara. What does the word beautifully mean? Manvantara is a time frame. What is a time frame? The time between any two Manu, the Antara. The word Antara means interim, the gap, intervening gap, Antara. So between any two Manu is a Manvantara. That's a time frame. So you have the civilization, the people face a crisis. From that crisis, somebody leads you to come out of the crisis and gives you framework to live by for that period of time. Till the next crisis hits you as a whole civilization, as a whole human race, when you get one more leader to come to lead you. So the gap between these two is the Manvantara, a Manu. So it's not just a biological time or a time, astronomical time. It's also time between two leaders who lead the mankind as a whole. So that is so we knew crisis and we gave a name for it. And who is a Guru?
So Guru root means to lift, to pull up. So that is why the word for gravity, much before gravity concept was introduced in modern science, you have had Gurutva Akarshana, which is in Indian thought. It has been spoken about many thousands of years ago. So that is the word for gravity, Akarshanam, because of heaviness. And a Guru is one who is heavy with wisdom, and he attracts people towards him or her, and gives them the knowledge of Dharma to derive the mental strength to go through crisis and lead life in harmony.
And look at this very particular thing which our Prime Minister said about one of the qualities that a leader, a Prajapati, a Manu, a Guru gives is a good leader gives us what? Enthusiasm. In these times of difficulties, you can't lose your enthusiasm. And all hope is a big, nice word in English language. Asha, hope. More than that is self-enthusiasm, not to lose it. So that is the real strength. So in difficult times, in lockdowns, what is important is enthusiasm. And we have a beautiful story 7,100 years back when Rama was dejected when Sita was kidnapped and taken away from him. When Rama was sick, it was Lakshmana who uttered this verse to give that enthusiasm to Rama to sort of buck up again. So it's all what you normally say in the English language, buck up, come back up, enthusiasm, the key way to keep the spirit alive. Of course, today people keep the spirits alive in many ways. They're very spirited, but the key thing to all that is enthusiasm.
So therefore, when you encounter a civilizational crisis, the three things that we have to do are L, and L. Look for these three leaders in our civilization, listen to their advice, and loyally follow their orders. So these three things, if we do, we will be able to overcome a any particular crisis that hits us as a total
Overall.
community, as a large body.
So the key thing is the evolution. This evolution process, parinama.
Because every crisis, it heralds a change. I'm sure even after this lockdown, when all the countries are going to come back out of the lockdown, there is going to be a marked difference in how the world is going to function post COVID-19 vis-a-vis how we were. Because each of us have had time to contemplate, ruminate, and we would have discovered so many truths amidst all of this crisis as to what is really important, what are the priorities. So there is going to be a major change, and obviously this change comes because of a give and take. We are going to be losing something at the to get this particular wisdom. And namakku vandu நம்ம civilization we have had a beautiful word for such evolution, because change is what evolution is all about. அதுக்கு ரொம்ப நல்ல வார்த்தை பரிணாமம்னு சொல்லுவோம், which means it's an effect arising from a cause. So we have always spoken about evolution as something like a cycle of cause and effect. So one is therefore at the through all this crisis and the lockdown, one is only keeping ourselves enthused enough so that we can march towards better days with good leadership.
And when you come out of this, what does it need? The factors is called rejuvenation, because you need to rejuvenate. Because after the crisis, what do? You should look for rejuvenation factors. What are the rejuvenation factors that any civilization land looks forward to? In that, you should know that this parinama change happens through pralaya. Pralaya is an important aspect. So there are 4 types of pralaya. Actually, when you talk about, there is the daily is a pralaya. Layam, when you have mridangam, tabla, drums, it's they call it layam.
லயம்னாக்கா அப்படியே லயிச்சு போறது, அப்படியே blend ஆகி மெல்ட் ஆயிடுறது. So you blend into the layam. So when there is a rhythm of a mridangam, you just in that layam, in that rhythm, you just melt. And when the music blends with that rhythm, it's said to be that the song is said to be in layam. So they are together, they are fused. So அந்த மாதிரி பிரளயம்ங்கிறது we normally always get scared and think of the universal collapse. But number thought, there has been 4 kinds of pralayam, nitya pralayam. So every night when we go to bed, we melt into a different dimension of consciousness, and that itself is a pralayam. And in the morning when you wake up, you're rejuvenated. Your blood is fresh. A lot of your cells, some of them would have died, and some new cells would have formed. So there is a rejuvenation happening every time you go to bed at night and wake up in the morning. அதே மாதிரி நைமித்திக பிரளயம், which are certain events which happen because of certain other causes like eclipses or earthquakes, and every full moon, new moon is also like a pralayam, naimittika pralayam.
Different changes.
Then you have avantara pralayam, which are very seasonal in nature, and then only you talk about maha pralayam, which is at cosmic scales, where galaxies or suns,
basically the vinasham,
the higher levels of destruction.
So
but we've never ever spoken about things as destruction. The thought of Shiva as a god of destruction itself is a Western view of Indian god Shiva. For a Shiva himself, Shiva has actually been a god of regeneration. Of course, no doubt regeneration, there will be a destruction, apro regeneration. But the focus was on regeneration and rejuvenation. That is why you have Shiva, as Chandrasekhara, Jadala vandu or Melissana Chandra. That is the waning moon. Adu chinnada poyum, adu before it gets lost, Shiva is supposed to hold it in his head so that he can give it back when it has to grow again. So that is what has been the essence of the civilization, that you always focus on rejuvenation and regeneration. So like we said, how each of these different pralaya causes a change.
And look at these factors that you have for rejuvenation. So there are.
So fundamentally, what we've always believed is that there will be cycles in creation, in evolution, where you will fall down. So falling down is not an issue, but not willing to get up or address how to get up is what is wrong actually. And there are various rejuvenating factors.
Multiple factors. For example, if you look at an economy, There are many rejuvenating factors in economy. For example, gold is a big rejuvenator. That's why people kept gold, saved it in their houses, underground behind their yard, kitchen, saved gold, because it was a rejuvenator every time. Similarly, Dhanyangallam, seeds, bijam, Vedaihat, they kept it in the temple gopurams, because after any flood or fire or fight or anything, they can get back the seeds and restart life again. Similarly, the water bodies, the areas, the kulam, the kalwai, they are all rejuvenators after every problem to help restart life. Similarly, the forest, the vanam, every vanam was a sacred vanam. It was a rejuvenator. So it was a topographical barrier and helped arrest various plagues and restart life. That was it. Similarly, for health, body, Ayurveda is a rejuvenator. For the mind, Dhyanam is a rejuvenator. And for both coming together, yoga is a rejuvenator. So we've got different rejuvenators in life for different factors. Similarly, you also have knowledge as a rejuvenator. So knowledge is a rejuvenator, because in the times of calamity, you not only need technical knowledge, but you also need traditional knowledge. So this is a regular rejuvenator for you. Similarly, for the human race, you have dharma as a rejuvenator. That's an important factor. So how you need to live with dharma, within dharma, that's a rejuvenator for you. And practices, the achara. See, the two things we are
Yeah. So, there is this word achar, which actually means good practices, good habits. And these kind of good habits, like
acharam, நம்ம தமிழ் ஆச்சாரம் சொல்லணும்.
இது வந்து நம்ம லோக்கல் ஏரியாக்கு தகுந்த மாதிரி நம்ம இந்த பிராக்டிசஸ் ஃபாலோ பண்ணனா அது வந்து தேசாச்சாரம்னு சொல்லுவோம். இந்த வேர்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் ஆக்சுவலா இருந்திருக்கு, நிறைய இடத்துல கேட்கலாம். ஐ மீன் ட்ரெடிஷனல் இதுல யூ கேன் ஹியர், and these are things that we have to revive to bring back self sufficiency. ஏன்னா தேசாச்சாரம் is very important for self sufficiency. And இதுக்கு அடிப்படை என்னன்னாக்கா விசார், the thoughts. Vicharam is what? The thought, the underlying ethos. This has been the ethos across the civilization of self-sufficiency, which has helped us tide over various kinds of crises.
So that's self-sufficiency.
So in the self-sufficiency நம்ம சொல்றோமே, இது நம்மளுக்கு எப்படி தெரிய வருது, எப்படி இருக்கு அப்படின்னு பார்த்தோம்னாக்க, இதனோட வேர்டே விருத்தி, ஸ்வவிருத்தி. அது வந்து the word comes, and the vritraangra word with vrith, which means like sticky, like a cloud. Or cloud வந்து அதோட stickiness மாதிரி அது hold பண்ற மாதிரி. So how the cloud holds all the raindrops and the particles together. So அது வந்து அந்த மாதிரி being contained, that is what is svavritti. And so every village, நம்மளோட பழைய model of governance-லே பார்த்தோம்னாக்க, they produced and they earned their wealth, they spent it on themselves, and only a part of it was given to the central king, the kingdom, and the kingdom oda raja ku konjam pochu, ana mattadella gramame vechinde they planned and they used it. Whereas in the centralized form of administration, which came after the British took over, and which we continued with even after independence, everything from the gramam goes all the way to the center, and then from there it comes back. So this is not been a very native model, but இதை address பண்றதுக்கு நம்ம பஞ்சாயத்து ராஜா நம்ம திருப்பி கொண்டு வந்தோம். So ஒரு செல்ஃப் சஃபிஷியன்ட்க்கு என்னெல்லாம் தேவை நம்மள்ட்ட இருக்கா அதெல்லாம் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தோம்னாக்க, one of the essentials is water, and you want to talk about it. So annual rainfall, இப்போ நம்ம இந்தியா, if you compare these large continents, Europe, USA, அதெல்லாம் பார்த்தோம்னாக்க, Indian subcontinent as such comes third, and compared to the size of landmass nu paathomnaka, it is pretty high. And idhula vandu namba paathomna, our ancients had realized that we get rain in a year only for about 3 months, and for the rest of the year this water has to be stored and used. So which is why they created about over 950,000 indigenous water harnessing systems. So local water bodies create panni 6 lakh villages க்கு இத்தனை bodies create பண்ணிருக்கா அப்படின்னாக்க, ஒரு கிட்டத்தட்ட 3 systems, 2 villageக்கு 3 systems. So these 2 villages were self-sufficient for their water needs. And water needs, then you had sunshine all through the year. You had, they knew how to harness their local resources in a sustainable manner for their local industries. So industries, local industries using local products and manpower which are local. So in a way, if you see, these small bodies were self-sufficient. And idukku namakku aadharam engendu kadikkiradhu pathina, we have Sir Charles T. Metcalfe. So he talks about in the British period, he talks about how the village communities are little republics having nearly everything they want. They seem to last where nothing else lasts. Dynasty after dynasty tumbles down. Revolution succeeds revolution. Hindu, Pathan, Mughal, Maratha, Sikh, and English are all masters in turn, but the village community remains the same. In times of trouble, they arm and fortify themselves. A hostile army passes through the country. The village communities collect their cattle within their walls and let the enemy pass unprovoked. So they used to withdraw into their shell. They used to insulate themselves. They used to go inside like an armor. They armed and fortified themselves, and they had everything within themselves. And they would just let the hostile army pass through. If plunder and devastation be directed against themselves and the force employed be irresistible, they flee to friendly villages at a distance. But when the storm has passed, they return and resume their occupations. So these villages, ipo tavukka mudiyama, if that the army that's passing through, they turn out to be hostile. See, this is another beautiful point which we cover in our warfare capsule, which talks about the ethics with which India used to fight wars. Irrespective of which king, which region, yarku sanda irundhalum, they had certain norms, and that was to not disturb the village people. So it used to always be a fight between soldier to soldier. So andamari Indian army is going through some village, they had no problems. Avanga vandu veetukulla poitu insulate pannitaanga, no problem. But if it were plunderers and marauders from outside, like we had the Mughals and coming in, and all the other Muhammad Ghazni, Gauri, when they came in, then the war ethics were very different, and therefore these people had to run away from their villages, in which case they had that balance of being interconnected with other villages to go and take shelter over there. So this one particular statement shows that balance beautifully with which they handled crisis. And he says, the union of village communities, each one forming a separate little estate in itself, has, I conceive, contributed more than any other cause to the preservation of the people of India through all the revolutions and changes which they have suffered, and is in a high degree conductive to their happiness and to the enjoyment of a great portion of freedom and independence. So in the mari tanma, in the self-sufficiency, forming ability to form a small estate amongst themselves and be contained, self-contained, as what has contributed to their preservation across all these millennia. The same thing is also being said by Reverend Bishop Caldwell. So they are little republics having everything they want.
See, we know about the Ribbon building in Chennai. This Ribbon, which is the head office of Madras Corporate. He says the same thing about how we were all, each village was a little republic, and it lasted and lasted because they were self-sufficient. And he made this statement in House of Commons in 1832 in London.
So idilendha namakku enna theriya varudunaka, so the king was there, and like the particular village would come under different kings at different times depending on which king won the war, but the village as such was never disturbed. They continued to remain little self-sufficient republics. And therefore, if you see, it was actually a bottom-up structure where you had physically strong local bodies which were self-sufficient, and together they formed a strategically powerful central civilization. So this was what helped the this brought self-sufficiency to the entire nation itself.
And we have three interesting words here: Swarajya, Swatantra, and Swavriddhi. What does the two words mean? Swarajya is Rajya. Swa means obviously self. So Rajya is to rule. In 1947, we got Swarajya to rule ourselves. But what is Swatantra? Tantra means technique. Tantram, technique. So self-technique. What has unfortunately happened is we have not employed the self techniques of India in the last 70 years, whereas we have had a very alien socialist model imposed on us, very unfortunately. So because of which we could not experience our own techniques to come back to prosperity after 300 years of plunder. Very unfortunate, because an alien model just failed, not only in India, failed everywhere else in the world. It's been tried. We have been forced with such a model. That means what? We are trying to drive our car with our handbrakes on. So that was more difficult. What is the next thing? Swavritti, self-sufficiency. Because only when you have self-rule, self-techniques, then you can have self-sufficiency. Only when you have self-sufficiency, you have strength. When you have with strength, you can face all problems. So these three form a very important aspect in administration and how you look towards the goal of just not nation, but as a civilization as a whole.
And we talk about Panchayat Raj and reviving Panchayat Raj, and we talk about how they were panchayats. But the panchayat is not just about administration. Their panchayat has to have a goal. And this self-sufficiency was the goal. It was the driver. Without this as the driver, just having a local administration body is just having an empty shell. So these panchayats and Janapada, which form
Jana, people, Janapada,
Republic.
people, Pada, foot. So people were always on this. Go ahead.
So these form the crux and they form the dharma of the Indian civilization itself. Ipo dharmangra vaarthaye actually north la paathanaka dharma garda vandu religion nu eduthuvaanga. But dharma garde what it means is what you bear. Namba enna dharanam pandrom. What is it we bear? What is the trait we hold? So that is dharma. So
character. Character is dharma.
Namakku undu, or erumbuku undu, or pulikku undu, or suryanku undu. Everything has some characteristic. And in case of a human, the beauty of it is it changes with the roles you play. So one role play you have to assume a different character.
The spot.
And this efficiency has been the essence of our panchayat system earlier. So if you really look at it, if we have to be self-sufficient today's context, we have to have a very good balance between traditional and modern, ancient, what is recent, what is proven, what is pioneering, what you may call stagnation or evolution. Renduthiyo analyze panni, we have to come with a balance, but a balance which is addressed or aligned with nature, with harmony, and which is aligned with sustainability as the goal. So fundamentally, we have to draw a line: mentala, sentimentala, containmenta, contentmenta, survivala, sustenance. There is a very fine line. Survival pakuroma, sustenance pakuroma. There is a very, very fine thin line. So like we said, again, it comes back to, how do you prevent and how do you manage and keep the balance. So இதுக்கெல்லாம் நம்ம இவ்வளவெல்லாம் நம்ம இந்தியால பத்தி இத பத்தி சொல்றோமே, நம்ம வந்து இந்தியால இத வேற ஏதாவது ஒரு எவிடன்ஸ் இருக்கா? And have we really done something to show that we have taken such steps? அப்படின்னு பார்த்தானாக்கா, this is a beautiful story. So this is a story about vaccines, and we have written about it extensively in our book Brand Bharat. So we have seen how these charakas, they were physicians who were going from village to village. And நமக்கு வந்து இந்த மாதிரி எபிடமிக்ஸ்க்கு சில வார்த்தைகளும் வந்திருக்கு. மாரின்னு சொல்லுவோம். In general, மகாமாரின்னு அப்படின்லாம் there are words.
தமிழ்ல வந்து மும்மாரின்னு இருக்குன்னா மழைக்கு வந்து மாரின்னு பேரு. So மூணு விதமான மழைக்கு so மும்மாரி. And there is a connection between rains and infectious diseases. ஏன்னா மழை காலத்துல தான் நிறைய infectious diseases வரும். அதான் நீ பாத்தீங்கன்னா உருதுல வந்து பீமாரின்னு, of course that word comes from the Persian word, again mari, bimari. Okay, opposite of bimari. So how is across, not just across India, but even beyond Afghanistan into Persia, you have this word mari, bimari, mahamari, marak, death, mrityu. So all the same thing. So all these epidemics were collectively called as mahamari or that which kills.
அதனால நமக்கு வந்து மாரிக்கு வந்து there is a deity. நம்ம வந்து சவுத்ல மாரியம்மன் சொல்றோம், அது வந்து நார்த்ல வந்து சீதலா தேவின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. அண்ட் வேரியஸ் ஃபார்ம்ஸ் மாருபாய்னு வேற சொல்லுவாங்க மகாராஷ்டிரால எல்லாம். அண்ட் ஸோ இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங் காம்பினேஷன் என்னன்னாக்கா, மும்பைல Matunga, which is the hub of South Indians, you will find a Marubai temple there. and where all South Indians will go there for varsha varsham adla anga vandu ammanku இது ஆஃபரிங்ஸ் கொடுக்கிறதுக்கு படைக்கிறதுக்கு. அண்ட் இந்த சீதலா தேவி ரொம்ப இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங். என்னன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா அவங்களோட வாகனம் வந்து கழுத, கையில வந்து தொடப்பம், அண்ட் இது வந்து மரம் வச்சிருப்பாங்க கையில. இது எல்லாம் என்னன்னாக்க அண்ட் தலையில சில சமயம் அக்னின்னு காமிப்பாங்க. அண்ட் இது அண்ட் இவங்களுக்கு வந்து ஆஃபரிங்ஸ் படைப்பு என்னன்னாக்க எல்லாம் இளநீர், எல்லாம் குளுமையான பொருட்கள். என்ன எதுக்குனாக்க இப்போ யூஸ்வலி மாறினாக்க தே அசோசியேட்டட் வித் அம்மை. அண்ட் இதுல வந்து அதனால அந்த அம்மை விழைச்சு அந்த பெருக்கி எடுக்கிறதுக்கு அந்த மரமும் தொடக்கம் அந்த அசோசியேஷன். பட் இந்த கழுத வந்து எதுக்குனாக்க இப்போ கழுதையோட பால் இஸ் சப்போஸ் டு பி a soothing agent, especially for skin infections. So ஈஜிப்ட்லயே கிளியோபாட்ராக்கு வந்து கழுத பால்ல வந்து அவங்களுக்கு டப்ல குடிக்கிறதுக்கு கொடுப்பாங்க.
Bathe in donkey's milk. It was supposed to be very what you call healthy for her skin to look radiant.
So most of these skin infections வந்ததுனாக்க அதனால அந்த கழுத has been her வாகனம். அண்ட் நம்ம ஊர்லயே நம்ம வந்து நிறைய இடத்துல சொல்லுவாங்க, வீட்டுல குழந்தை நச்சு நச்சுன்னு அழுதுருந்ததுன்னா அது வந்து அழுத மூஞ்சி சிரிச்சுதான் கழுத பாலை குடிச்சுதான்னு சில பேர் சொல்லுவாங்க. அப்படின்னா அந்த இரிட்டேஷன் இருந்து அது மாறுறதுக்கு கழுத பால் வந்து has been மெடிசின். பட் எல்லாரும் நம்ம வந்து வேக்சின் இன்னைக்கு எடுத்தோம்னாக்க இட்ஸ் கிரெடிட்டட் டு எட்வர்ட் ஜென்னர் இன் 1796 who introduced smallpox vaccination in England.
The word if you see vaccination comes from the Greek word vaka meaning cow, so that's why you get the word vaccination. But whereas you have had vaccination practices in India that goes back at least 40-50 years before him, as here recorded by Dr. J.F. Holwell. He says how in the group of Charaka went from village to village inoculating people before a season of infection so that you kept them all safe. So process a mission they prick with a small instrument the blood and then they sort of vaccinate people. So this is a practice of India, inoculate people and keep them safe.
And they record that so when Edward Jenner actually found smallpox vaccine, so until then they have studied the Indian inoculation system and they have written a lot about it and they have used it to learn from it and come up with the vaccination. But once a vaccination was found, see
in England, India is already.
See, India this was a system. See, romba alaga solranga, a particular group of Brahmins would move around small towns before onset of summer. That means varsha and the summer and the period ku munnadi they would go and they would, so there was a discipline. Varsha adu poi adu kandipa pannu. So the preventive steps were taken very meticulously. And அதுக்கு வரதுக்கு முன்னாடி the people had a regimen. ஒரு வாரத்துக்கு fish, milk, ghee சில பொருட்கள்லாம் எதெல்லாம் உணவு எடுத்துக்க கூடாதோ அதெல்லாம் எடுத்துக்க மாட்டாங்க. And then they would undergo the vaccination. So there was discipline, meticulousness. People had this idea. But அப்புறம் Jenner இது பண்ணப்போ what did they do? They banned the Indian system within India and they brought in Jenner's system. But அதை வந்து இவ்வளவு வைட் ஸ்ப்ரெட்டா ஒரு சிஸ்டம் மாதிரி கொண்டு வரல. So அதனால என்ன ஆயிடுது, by then இந்தியால smallpox வந்து large scale ஒரு epidemic மாறிடுது. அது வரைக்கும் there was no record of it being an epidemic until then, which is what they say. And இது மட்டும் இல்ல 1767 இல்ல 1731 லயும் இருக்கு, again அந்த இன்னொரு ரெக்கார்ட்லயும் இருக்கு. So they used to call them,
he calls people who went around village to village curing people of this as Dunantri. They use English word, but we all know the word Dunantri actually here means Dhanvantri. So every one of these physicians who went to vaccinate people was called Dhanvantri. Dhan, wealth, Dhanvantri, one was bringing you wealth. So because it was health was wealth.
And this Holwell was actually part of the London Royal College of Physicians. And so
he's not a stray man, he's a man of medicine of those days and one of the senior most medicine man who recorded this and reported it much before Jenner's time. And much so India, one of the pride of India we can say is we gave the concept of vaccination to the world and we've been practicing for at least 1,000 years before that. And what did we call it? Smallpox was called Vasuri and cowpox was called Go Vasuri. So we knew the difference between the two. We had terminologies and we had vaccination for it and this is all recorded. very clearly, and we should be proud of it. In contrast, while India had vaccination, look at this contrast. In America, all of you have heard of Yale University, the premier universities. Actually, Yale University was started with funds from Madras. Since this is a Chennai Citizens Forum, I'd like to state this. Yale University initial seed fund was money collected from Madras. That's why there's a strong Madras Yale University connect. That's why we're showing it here. And this is the second president of the Yale University who says, don't do vaccination here because if people are going to die of smallpox, you can't beat fate. You can't trick fate with vaccination and save them. So if they are to die, let them die. Look at the thought process there as to tricking fate, as to in India, how you do it with nature in season and vaccinate people as Vasuri, Go Vasuri and save people. Look at the contrast between two thoughts, the so-called scientific American thought and this.
And in fact, Europe, the 1300s to 1700s was era of lot of plagues in Europe. And there is also this point that is being said about the famous poem Ringa Ringa Roses that we sing.
I'm sure most of you have heard of this poem in school, or either you yourself would have sung this poem, or your children or nephews or somebody would have sung this poem.
So it is said that it is not just Ringa Ringa Roses, pocket full of posies. It is actually ring around the rosy, a pocket full of posies. Rosies because they would have, whenever they had plague,
and the box,
there would be a ring around the skin, blister vartaminadi. And there were so many people dying of plague that people had to carry posies which were flowers with certain smell so that they don't get the bad smell. And ashes we all fall down, or a tissue we fall down. But many people don't know that there is a second para also, which says the cows are in the meadow eating buttercups, thunder, lightning, we all stand up. So that means after all the fall down, there was also standing up. And how did it stand up happen? Because the cows ate buttercups in the meadow. Seems very disconnected. So we just went and checked it up. Can buttercup is actually supposed to be a poisonous flower, both for animals and humans. But there is a variety in Sanskritam. It's called Kandakatuka or Kandira. In Tamil and Malayalam also they call it Kandiram. And Adila Pathanaka,
variant variety.
And Adila Pathanaka, it is recommended particularly against skin diseases such as eczema, herpes, and various other skin ailments. So perhaps there was some nature cure that they did find at that period. And there were so many people,
plagues in India different times. So each of the plagues, how treatment happened for various plagues in India through the ages, ailments that happened.
But all these plagues, and interestingly, the plague, India in the 1896,
major bubonic plague.
And two leaders played a major role. One was Lokmanya Tilak, which is when he earned his title Lokmanya.
Lokamanya, not the Lokana, the whole world, everybody across strata of society, Manya, respect, Manya, respect. So he got the title Lokamanya because of the good work that he did across strata in the western region of India at the time of plague. Similarly, in the eastern region of India, Swami Vivekananda, when he was still a young Swami, he came up with a plague pledge.
And on the pledge, actually, you'll see that he says the British government will not vaccinate anyone by force. Only those willing will be vaccinated. So this shows that the English system of vaccination was still new, and people were not very comfortable with it. And also the way they were trying to vaccinate people during the plague, it was not a very, it was a rather cruel manner. So that was thing. But then because of all this,
going back to the Chennai Citizens Forum, what we're talking today, let's look at this. Do you know how many people died in Madras province alone in 100 years back because of the cholera disease plague at the time? 1,17,000 people alone in Chennai alone died. And look at this, 1 crore people all over India in that 2-decade period died because of this Mahamari. So we have had this Mahamari different times.
But then this came to us, the first record of plague is only during the invasion of Muhammad of Ghazni around 1031, 1032 CE. And adukapram subsequent invasions la plague thirumi vandirukku. And then again 1885 and 90s la vanda plague came from China. again. They've been
from ships from China and Hong Kong.
Because of the opium trade. The British, they were conducting opium trade. In fact, even Central Asia, the Muhammad of Ghazni, adella vandadella kudi Silk Route le China lende Silk Route la poi angende it came to India and to rest of Europe kala adu valiya dhaan poirukku. But that means adu varaikum namba vandu plague patti avlo pesalanaka India la, it means that the disruption to existing systems, every time there is a plunder or there is a change in these kind of administration, British administration from Indian system, so these kind of disruptions have disrupted our preventive cycle, the disciplined preventive cycles that we were following. So that is why at those times we were hit by these kind of Mahamari. So we call vaccination in a way a prevented brand of India, because nobody has recognized that vaccines have been an offering from India. And eventually even the West could not, much as Yale University tried to resist, eventually it got accepted in the West.
All over the world.
And it has come back.
Proud brand of India. And we should claim it back and say it's our brand. Vaccination is our brand.
So now it's time to reclaim the brand once again, given that there are so many such epidemics that are continuously coming up and attacking the world. And of course, now we have a lot of modern research going on, but also we have a repository of proven traditional medicine system, which has been preventive focused. So, annike number vaccine kuduthirukona, there could be so many more secrets lying hidden in our traditional texts which need to be explored. And if you see today, India is a preferred partner for biotechnology and genome research. We have been doing a lot of strides. And for millennia, we have had a very open-minded genetic engineering policy. Today, we have a developed pharma and medical industry. We are a hub for clinical trials. And beyond everything, we have a very, very friendly foreign policy, which, just going by the current demand for the in the hydrochloroquine, how we have responded to the various countries of the world, it shows our friendly disposition towards the world. We have always believed in Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. So, idella irkave, it is time to reclaim the brand once again, not just for vaccines, but also to be a leader in showing people how to stay alive, how to continue to stay alive for millennia.
Incidentally, since you mentioned about the vaccine and quinine and all that, there's an interesting article that you have written in our blog, you can go read it, about the Quinine India Connect, especially of gin and tonic. What the British call gin and tonic and the quinine connect. This is a very interesting article, how it starts from the when the Anglo-Mysore War of 1790, there's a strong connect. That's why we are strong in that. There's an article, you can read it. It's in our blog, Bharat Gyan blog. Go ahead.
So given all this, so ultimately what we are trying to tell is, one, we have to reclaim our leadership position. But to do that, we have to first develop confidence and dare within ourselves. We have to have confidence in our civilization, our ethos, our ways, and we have to dare to follow them. So once, if we do that, we can emerge as leaders, both in today's crisis, as well as we can show the world the secrets of staying alive across millennia.
I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Any questions, you'll be happy to take on the subject. And anyway, our book is coming out called Staying Alive. Within a month, it's all getting ready. Once all this lockdown happens, the book is also ready. So most of it will be put up in our website, in our blog articles. You can go read all these things. It's available there. Most of them already available in our short films, in our YouTube channel. Putting up a series of tweets on this also, you can see it. And the book should also be soon available once it's over. That's a 200-page book on staying alive, this whole thing. Just give you a synopsis. Any questions, we're happy to take.
Thank you so much, Hari sir. It was really a wonderful session from ancient. We are able to virtually like travel from over the period. And then it was very contextual, and then really spending so much of time on preparing this particular slide. From really very surprised to know how did you gather all this data over the time. And,
everything has been done by her. I didn't do anything. I'm only sitting here. All the work has been done only by her.
Very, very surprised to know that how so much of data as you were able to gather at short span of time. At this time, I also request our patron, Mr. K.T. Raghavan sir is here. Raghavan sir, if we can just share a few words.
Sir, namaskaram. Madam, vanakkam. Hello.
கேக்குது சார், சொல்லுங்க.
பேசுங்க பேசுங்க.
நிஜமாவே இப்போ மிஸ்டர் சுந்தர் சொன்னாரு எப்படிதான் கலெக்ட் பண்றாங்களான்ட்டு. மிஸ்டர் சுந்தர் ஒன்று சொல்றேன், அவர் மாசம் மாசம் ஒரு புக்கு, அது ஒரு 500-600 பேஜுக்கு ஒரு புக்கு ரிலீஸ் பண்றாங்க. அவங்க எனக்கே வந்து மிஸ்டர் ஹரி ஒரு 4 புக்கு கொடுத்துருக்காரு. இன்னும் படிச்சு முடிக்கல நான் எல்லாத்தையும். அவ்வளோ அதெல்லாம் படிச்சீங்கன்னு சொன்னீங்கன்னா எங்க கலெக்ட் பண்றாங்கன்னு பெரிய ஆச்சரியமா இருக்கு. அவ்வளோ இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் அவங்க கலெக்ட் பண்றாங்க. நாட் ஓன்லி தட், எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு சில மினிஸ்ட்ரிலாம் அவங்க கிட்ட தான் சில ரிப்போர்ட்ஸ்லாம் வாங்குறாங்க, எனக்கு அது தெரியும். அதனால இன்னைக்கு ரொம்ப இந்த நேரத்துல இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு டாக் அரேஞ்ச் பண்ணது ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம் சார். நீங்களும் உங்க டைம் கொடுத்தது ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம். நிறைய புக் அவர் எழுதியிருக்கிறாரு. அவங்க ரொம்ப இந்த ஃபாதர்ல இருந்து எல்லாருமே எனக்கும் நல்லா, எங்க ஊர் தான் அவரு, செங்கல்பட்டு தான் அவங்க. அதனால அவங்க அப்பா வந்து பெரிய இன்ஸ்டிடியூட், இந்து மிஷன் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் தாம்பரம் இருக்கு பாருங்க, இது இவங்க தான் அதை நிர்வாகம் பண்றாங்க. அதனால சோசியல் சர்வீஸும் நிறைய பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறாங்க. இந்த மாதிரி உண்மையிலேயே இன்னைக்கு நேற்றைக்கு ஒரு தீகா தலைவர் ஒருத்தர் என்கிட்ட பேசினார். கார்த்தால கூப்பிட்டாரு. எல்லாருக்கும் நான் பேரை சொல்ல வேண்டாம், தெரியும், ரொம்ப அவர் பேரை சொன்னா எல்லாருக்குமே தெரியுங்கிற அவர் தான். அவர் என்கிட்ட பேரை இது பேசும்பொழுது சொல்றாரு, இந்த சோசியல் டிஸ்டன்ஸ், இந்த ஆச்சாரங்கள்லாம் நம்ம கடைபிடிக்கணும், இனிமேல் வந்து மக்கள்கிட்ட அதெல்லாம் தெளிவுபடுத்தணும் அப்படின்னு அந்த தீகா தலைவர் சொல்றாரு. எனக்கு ஒரு சிரிப்பா இருந்தது அவர் சொல்லும் பொழுது. இப்ப நம்ம நாட்டுல இந்த கல்ச்சர் எப்படி ஃபாலோ பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம், அதெல்லாம் தொலைச்சிட்டு இன்னைக்கு வந்து இப்படி இருந்தா அதெல்லாம் வந்திருக்காது, காப்பாற்ற முடியும் அப்படிலாம் பேசுறோம். அதைத்தான் நீங்க நிறைய புத்தகத்தெல்லாம் நீங்க வந்து இந்தியா வந்து எப்படிலாம் இருந்திருக்குங்கிறத பத்தியும் சொல்லியிருக்கிறீங்க. ஆட்டோபயோகிராஃபி ஆஃப் பாரத், அதுல வந்து நிறைய விஷயங்கள் இந்தியாவை பத்தினோட பெருமைகள்லாம் அதுல இருந்திருக்கு. அந்த விதத்துல எங்களோட வந்து எங்களுக்கும் அந்த டைம் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணதுக்கு ரொம்ப தேங்க்ஸ் சார். மேடம், உங்களுக்கும் எங்களோட தேங்க்ஸ்.
Thank you. Incidentally, you written a book called Knowing New India, because all of us talk about New India. What is New India? So this is a book we wrote, and Mr. K.T. Raghavan has also seen this book. Very nice of him. So those who have the time over the next couple of weeks, you can have, this book is available on Kindle to read. Because when we all talk about New India, what is this New India? The question comes up. So we are trying to explain this from a civilization perspective like this for each of the schemes that India has come up. Because we have moved from a stage of scam India to scheme India. So if so, what is it that we have done? India as a civilization over the last decade to become a powerful nation. So we dealt with this. This is a sequel to the book we wrote earlier about how India was in the scam period. That is a book called U-Turn India we wrote. All these books are here behind us. This is a book we called U-Turn India. We wrote this book. So as a sequel to U-Turn India, now it is Knowing New India. So the problems that India faced, how we can become positive. So those who have the time over the next couple of weeks, depending on what our Prajapati, the leader of the nation, says tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and how much more time that we have on hand, let's take a call.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Raghav. Thank you so much, Raghavan, sir. We will take some couple of questions. So we have one question, one appreciation from our president, Ram Kumar, sir. Excellent presentation. Your insight into the history of vaccination is very interesting. One question from Mr. Shriram Kannan, not though directly related. Hari sir, question to you. How do we harmonize the ancient wisdom of staying contented and its related lifestyle prescription with the modern lifestyle of materialism? Have we not come a long way from the past?
This sort of, sir, first of all, good question. The fundamental factor is what it is, a sense of tripti. It was part of our life, it was part of our system of living, of being content with what we have and sustainable. What's happened is, it is in this decades of so-called globalization that we have moved again from contentment to craving. That is the shift that's unfortunately happened. And there's no end to craving. As Mahatma Gandhi said once, there is enough in this world for mankind's need, but not enough for mankind's greed. So we have moved away from contentment to craving, and there's no end to it. You may want product A, then version 2, version 3, version 4, you can go on, and they're fueling it. So now what happens is these sort of hurdles, path breakers, they help you pause and think. When you do that, your self-sufficiency comes back to having, it's very important to have contentment with what we have. That is one of the strengths of the Indian civilization. When I was studying in school, my early economics, all that, they said, there's a famous statement by an American economist. I don't know, this was in the Malthusian Times. He said, the contentment that an Indian farmer has in his loincloth, the same state of contentment an American does not have in a suit, formal tuxedo dress. So that level of contentment is what is, again, it's all in the mind. That's why he said, mana, mind, it comes in yoga, dhyanam. That's a strength. Yoga and dhyanam strength to give you that contentment. Then we can overcome all these other smaller issues. Sheer lack of non-contentment and craving is a big problem. Buddha spoke about it 3,800 years back. In 1800 BCE, Buddha spoke about it as desire, unwanted desires. So it's come through us repeatedly. Repeated people have said it. Gandhiji has said it, or we are saying it, that excess craving is a problem. And there's a new thing saying that first apple, 10th apple. When you're hungry, you go for this is not going in YouTube for the last few days. So this is again, it's a theory in economics where you come to the how the law of diminishing returns. Adam Smith to Ross, all of them have said it. Same thing, law of diminishing returns. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. I hope Shriram would be happy with that. So another question, though you have already answered this in your question just now. One from Mr. B. Subra, is our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, P or M or G?
Pardon, come again, sir. Can you speak a little louder?
Yeah, in your presentation, you have introduced PMG concept. So our Prime Minister would fit into which of this formula, P, M, or G?
Good question.
Actually, I think I should take you to that slide itself. It's very interesting.
See, PMG is very nice. I'm glad you brought it up. See, he is now certainly a leader of the people, Prajapati. There's no doubt about it. Huh?
See, over here, actually, you will find that Manu is listed as a Prajapati. And see, Manu is there right on top as a Prajapati.
Rudra is a Prajapati, Daksha is a Prajapati, Bhrigu is a Prajapati.
So it is hard to just say that it is so-and-so is this or that. Fundamentally, I think some people have the capability of assuming more roles than one. And at different times, they have to take on different roles again.
I'll put it this way, sir. He certainly is a Prajapati now. There's no doubt about it, because he's leading the people and leading successfully and taking India into new India. So that role is obviously yes, and we see it happening without talking about politics and without any Narastuti, clearly. But the coming decade, whether from being a Prajapati, he can reach out to be a Manu, is a question that only time will tell. Because leader of humanity, there have been very few Manus, people who can lead human race itself. That only time will tell. Let's wait and watch this decade as we come out of this pandemic, and look forward how we are going to stay alive. The whole world is going to stay alive. So it's as good a guess as yours as mine. Let's see how the world evolves, the world order evolves beyond all this.
Yeah.
I hope I answered you, sir.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I hope no other questions. If you have any further question, I request you to.
Yeah, I have sent a question directly to.
Yeah, you can ask it here, sir. Challa, sir.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little louder, please?
See, I have sent you my exactly not a question. I just want your thoughts on these. See, all this beautiful system always existed in our land, but.
Pardon, come again. So you need to speak a lot louder, please.
All these systems, whatever we have been discussing and whatever we have been presenting today, they always existed in our land from time immemorial. But unfortunately, none of these were recorded. That has always been a bane of Indian nation or even of Hinduism, I would say. And Westerners, they always thought of recording everything they do and whatever events have happened. And there they scored a point over our forefathers. But always we have been told by our ancestors, forefathers, that if you don't do this, it's against God's will. You know, when, as a kid, they always say, they kept on saying that, and we were following all this more out of.
Sir, I would like to, sir, can I step in here now?
Yeah, please.
Okay, fine. See, to say it is not recorded is actually untrue because we have brought it out in our book, Breaking the Myths. You see this book, Breaking the Myths about identity. We have very clearly said how it has all been recorded in India. There are 22 varieties of recording history, and we have recorded it very clearly. Because if we had not recorded, if Indian civilization had not recorded it, we could not have written about it in this book, or we could not have made this presentation today. So there has been a clear recording system in India, and it's a myth to say that we did not record it. This
Fine,
book
sir.
very clearly brings out. It's available on Kindle for you to read this week.
Okay, in that case, I have a corollary to that.
There are two things here.
No, if that is the case, why they never said it's there? If
No,
you
no,
do
I'll
this,
come
it's
to
good
that.
for your
I'll
health.
come
But
to
they
that.
always kept scaring us as a kid.
No. I'll come to that. See, one is first fundamentally, like you said, they were recorded. It's a different story that much of it has got destroyed also. That is point one. Now, second, about why has it not been recorded? Why is it recorded in a different way? And why do the people say, things to frighten us if you do this related with God and so on? Now, actually, if you see, if you look up Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita, both of them have very clearly given step by step some 15 things to do. Everybody must do on a daily basis to keep themselves, healthy and to prevent these kind of attacks of viruses and bacteria. Keep themselves clean, keep their body in ship shape. But we have never bothered to read them. So had we read them, then we would have known directly what they are saying. Then we would not have got misled by parents saying if you didn't do this, then that means so and so will get offended and so on. So that has come as a separate layer because this fundamental layer of knowledge was not gone into or was not made. People didn't get access to it.
It is there in English also. It's there now in Kindle. It's available in English. Very good versions are available in English. You don't have to go for Sanskrit version or available in Tamil.
Perhaps this could have been
Indian language available now.
No, maybe if we had continued to follow our Gurukulam pattern of schooling, these things would have been taught by our teachers. Perhaps the Britishers coming in and changing the method of schooling, I think it has literally killed all our great culture and way of doing things in our nation.
Yes,
the
please.
access to the knowledge which was broken.
Now we have it through in the online era. We have the access back again to use individually at our individual times. So now the Gurukula is more the attractive gurus to attract. So the current Gurukula is all online.
These days, gurus charge too heavily. That's a problem. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much all for your time.
Sundar, I can't hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much, all of you. I request Chella sir to formally give the vote of thanks.
Good evening to all of you once again. And like they say, the bad penny keeps coming back. I'm back here now after clearing a few of my doubts with this evening's guests of honor. All of us would certainly agree that this has been a really not only a revealing presentation, but also mind-boggling how our ancestors have already thought about all these things and how we have failed to take up these things. And now, because thanks to, I should not say thanks, but still I had to use that word, thanks to coronavirus, we are going back to our old system. And this is being now told to us by all Tom, Dick and Harry. Every day we get what we should do during this corona strike: eat this, eat that, eat early morning, have some malagu, rock salt and all this. They keep saying all that, but all these things are already there in our system. That's what I feel. I should really thank the guests who have really thrown a lot of light into a sort of a, I would say, a dark area in our history which we never knew about it. And thanks to the great books you are writing, sir, we wish you all good luck, and we wish you Godspeed in giving this nation what we have already lost, giving back to this nation what we have lost. Like what Madam said, because of though the writings are all available, but they are destroyed in course of time. I hope you restore all of them in good shape, and at least the future generations will be able to benefit from all these good things that have been already taught to us. And again, we had a very good turn up of our members hearing you. And maybe it's getting a little late. A few of them had some other things they had to go away. But otherwise, it was very, very interesting evening. And we once again thank the organizers, especially our treasurer, Mr. Sundar Raman, and our president, Mr. Ram Kumar. And I also take a special mention about our patron, Mr. KTRG, for saying a few words and sharing his thoughts. Once again, thank you, everybody, and good
Just one
night.
word.
Yes, sir.
Can I say one word before we close? Those who are, I'm sure most of you are on social media. Those on social media, you can follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Because we write about this daily. On staying alive and other subjects, we write daily about it.
Definitely.
So sure. You can
we will share that in our page itself. Definitely.
Please, that'd be nice.
Yes.
Again, when you say staying alive, we can only remember of Saturday Night Fever, sir.
Yes, that's right.
That is the influence of Western. That is the influence of Western culture today. It was my colleges when I always saw that movie more than twice.
Bee Gees.
No, it was Bee Gees. I think it was John Travolta's Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, it was adopted by John Travolta.
Yeah. Staying alive. Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining us. We will catch you again in at another CCF lecture series. Thank you once again, Hari sir and Hema ma'am. Thank you so much for giving us this lecture.
Thank you, sir.